Ready? I would like to call the meeting of the Mountain View South Coast Union High School District Board of Directors to order at 7:09 p.m. We will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation. Thank you so much. I would like to note that all 5 of the trustees are present, Phil by Zoom, and the other 4 of us here. And we have our student board members now that Dr. Meyer is going to give the oath of office for the year. Okay, so I'm going to come over there. If you both please stand. And please put your hands on. All right. So we're going to do them together. So I'll go alphabetically. So you could say, I, Sadie Crocombe. I, Sadie Grayson. And I, Ava Keshavarzi. I, sorry. Do solemnly swear. That I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States. That I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States. And the Constitution of the State of California. And the Constitution of the State of California. Against all enemies. Foreign and domestic. And that I will bear true faith and allegiance. To the Constitution of the United States. And the Constitution of the State of California. That I take this obligation freely. Without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion. And that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter. Congratulations, Ava. Congratulations, Sadie. Welcome, Ava, for the 2nd year, and Sadie. We're so glad to have you. Thank you. Okay, approval of the agenda. I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved, but minus 15.11, right? Is that correct?
A second. Any other discussion on that? Ava, I'll let you go first. Ava?
I approve.
Sadie?
I approve.
Board, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Yes. Unanimous vote. Okay. We did not take any action in closed session, so there's nothing to report. Okay, coming down to recognitions and resolutions. We have the pleasure of having an MVLA spotlight of Carol Olson and Debbie Kundrat. Is that how you say it? From Mentor Tutor Connection. So, Dr. Meyer.
Yes, thank you. It is an MVLA tradition to recognize community members who have gone above and beyond and who have done wonderful things for our students. So it was really easy as we look to select an organization that has done that for us. And 2 representatives, and I see 4, but 2 representatives from that organization. The Mentor Tutor Connection with Carol Olson as the executive director and Debbie Kundrat. Just a little bit about the 2 of them. And I see others here who opened our ceremonies at Alta Vista, as Gina did. But Carol is passionate about community collaborations and has developed partnerships with nonprofit organizations, foundations, schools, and other stakeholders. She has designed systemic solutions that create opportunities and access for youth. Previously, she served as Director of Environment and Stewardship Programs for the Morgan Family Foundation and as the CEO of the Mountain View Chamber of Commerce. She has worked with Mentor Tutor Connection since I've been here in the district and has been a great partner for us and for our students. Debbie Kundrat, she is the chairperson of the Mentor Tutor Connection board, and she also has devoted a lot of time through the foundation and supporting the speaker series and other MVLA efforts. She believes in giving back to the community as a tech executive who's retired. She has served as the chair of the speaker series, as I mentioned, and is now the strong chairperson of this organization. Recently, Mentor Tutor Connection had a celebration of their year's progress. And during that time, Debbie did a great job of interviewing William Blair for the board members and really got to share not only what they do, but put a spotlight on our wellness program. So with that, it is our honor to recognize you for the MVLA Spotlight, and we would love to welcome you up to the podium to say a few words. So congratulations.
Thank you so much. Very nice and appreciate it so much. It means, yeah, sure. Yes. It means a lot to us, this honor. And even though Debbie and I have our name on the honor, you know, of course, it takes a village to support kids. And we are very fortunate to have an incredible village, which is our mentors and our incredible team on the staff here. And I just will quickly introduce Elizabeth Maciag, who's our Director of Programs, and also Gina Estrada, who's our Mentor Program Manager at Alta Vista High School. We also have Ann Wolf, who's not here tonight, but she's Mentor Program Manager at Los Altos High School. And Jennifer Springer is Mentor Program Manager at Mountain View High School. So we wanted to be here just to thank you for the partnership. It means a lot to us, to thank you for your leadership, to thank the incredible staff at the district that we work with who identify students who could benefit from a mentor. And that enables us to bring this community of caring adults to kids. Last year, 112 students in the district had a mentor, and that's a caring adult who is there, who shows up for them without judgment, without an agenda, someone who wants to be there to support the student for whatever they need, providing them support, guidance, and care. They might go out to boba or meals or go for hikes or do, you know, try new things, but whatever they're doing, the mentor is listening and caring and providing that support. Our mentors provided almost 9,000 hours of volunteer time last year. And 100% of our mentored seniors last year graduated. 100% of all of our mentees would recommend the program to their friends. 100% reported knowing that their mentors cared about them. And last year, also during a very challenging year, 89% of mentored students reported that they felt less stressed because of having a mentor. 88% reported feeling more positive about themselves by participating in the program. And 99% reported their mentor helped them think through their plans for the future. And so last, I just wanted to mention, even though we always talk about the mentor program when we're talking with all of you, I did want to mention that we have a tutor program, and we've been providing tutors in the 2 districts that feed into this district for over 25 years. And so our surveys show that our tutors are advancing the academic growth of our students in K through 8, as well as helping them build confidence and self-esteem. So thanks to all of our incredible tutors as well, and our 2 district partners, elementary district partners, we believe that students are coming here better prepared for success in high school. So thank you again. I'm going to have Debbie say a few words.
Thank you. So I'm a board member, and I was the chair up until June 30th. So now I'm just a board member, but I'm a former MVLA parent, and I was excited to find ways to volunteer again with students and supporting our high school students. So the mentor program or mentor tutor connection in general has given me that opportunity. And after you hear some of the quotes I'm going to share from our students, maybe you all might want to volunteer as well, because we have got some very happy students and they're learning a lot of new things. The students we work with are not those that you hear about every day, but they are amazing human beings and they do great things. And so, giving them a chance to showcase that is what our mentors do. I'm going to read some quotes from our mentees from our annual survey that's conducted every year at the end of the school year. So this is from last year. On what was their favorite activity with their mentor. I really enjoyed going to lunch, taking our dogs for walks, and the favorite thing was going to Animal Assisted Happiness Farm, which was a field trip that Jennifer Springer from Mountain View High School put together for the mentor-mentee pairs there. I love that we made pies, pumpkin and peach pie together. And not only did we do that, but we went to a restaurant and my mom and me were there and we got to talk with our mentor and have a great conversation. Going to get a Christmas tree with my mentor and then having coffee afterwards made for a cozy day that I'll never forget. Going to the zoo because I've never been to a zoo. Going fishing for the first time in my life, and it was super special because it's something I've wanted to do since I was a kid. And this one is really something. My mentor drove me to Watsonville to meet a veterinarian who had gone to Stanford and UC Davis because I said I wanted to pursue a career in veterinary science. And she did everything she could to get me to meet this wonderful veterinarian. So pretty much they're doing lots of really incredible things that are helping these kids and opening their eyes. What have you learned from your mentor? To not be scared, to ask my teachers for help, to always stand up for myself, and to work hard. I've learned to go out of my comfort zone and accomplishing things that I need to do and want to do in my life. And then finally, what's the biggest difference your mentor has made in your life so far? I feel less lonely. I feel like I could ask for advice for things that I've never been able to ask before because the people around me have not had the same experience that I'm going through now. My mother and I were very worried about my life after high school, but my mentor stepped up, helped me research schools, helped me research scholarships, and broaden my view of what could happen. My mentor helped me get my first job and helped me get out of the house and do something. And this one hits the heart. I definitely feel less alone. I have an adult that I can really confide in. So it's not a parent, it's an adult, a caring adult is like what we like to call them, that they can confide in. So as you can see, they have these incredible relationships and our mentors are doing some great things. And if anyone is interested in a really great volunteer gig, check it out or let us know. We definitely are always looking for mentors. But again, thank you so much for recognizing us and for the partnership. I think it's just continuing to grow and we're hoping to continue on for 25 more years. Thank you.
Wedge all over there. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's always so inspiring. The people that we recognize during our spotlight for their support for our students in our community. Now we have board member reports. Is there a board member that has anything to report? No, Bill. Okay. We have nothing to report, so we'll move on. Student board members' reports. And I will let Ava go first, so she can go by example, and then you can follow her.
So thank you for having me back this year. I'm really excited to be in this role again, and work with the board to keep you informed about what's happening at Mount View High School. So we just started the school year. Obviously, this is our second full week. But last week we did have our back to school rally and our back to school spirit week to kind of bring all the classes together with some spirit days like Where's Waldo Day, Pajama Day, and Spartan Spirit Day. And it was really fun to see everyone dress up. And also last week, we had our first congressional meeting of the year, which is where we basically inform everyone, all the students, about what's going on. And I took a quick little survey. I usually like to do one in the beginning of the semester and the end of the semester. And so some of the feedback that students had, this is what people are excited for: seeing friends, second semester, senior year, and graduating, senior events, sports, electives, and the new library and tutorial center, not new library, but the new tutorial center and student center once it's built. I'm looking forward to meeting new people and learning about the different cultures in Mountain View, meeting the new teachers, building good study habits, attending school bonding events. I'm looking forward to helping new students feel more involved and included at Mountain View, and also looking forward to our new principal. Some things that students feel like we can work on this year are more recognitions to staff and students. We do have a new committee in ASB for that, so we're definitely going to be doing that this year. Better lunch line management, sanitary products in the women's restrooms, biking and car safety, which there's someone new out there. I see him every morning when I walk to school. And better communicating important dates and events, which is also something ASB is prioritizing this year. But overall, everyone's super excited to be back, and we're ready for a great year.
Great. Any questions for Ava?
Welcome back.
Welcome back. Yeah.
Hi.
Sadie?
Hi, my name is Sadie Griggin. This is my first year serving as secretary for ASB at LHS, and I'm so excited to be here. Just as a recap of everything that we've been doing at LHS to start off the month, LHS held our annual leadership camp where ASB, SDL, and class council members met. We had 2.5 days and over 90 students planning, greeting, and getting ready for this year. In that time, we also planned our back to school rally and dance. We held our club's charter meeting last Friday, whereas today 66 clubs have requested chartering, and we have approved and chartered 41 of them. Students have said that clubs are one of the most diverse set of groups that we have on campus, not related to just sports or academics. We've got everything from cultural clubs to math clubs to movie clubs to environmental clubs. We also held our back to school dance on 13th with over 430 students attending. And we had our back to school rally where students and 13 staff competed in games.
Wow. A lot is going on at both schools. Any questions for Sadie? And we're so impressed that some of the team at Los Altos cheered on the all staff first day meeting.
Yeah, we were there at 7:30.
Yeah. And did singing and stuff like that, posters and all. Thank you so much. Dr. Meyer, would you like to give a superintendent's report?
I would. And once again, thank you for being here as student representatives and all of the work that you've already done. So you may see some things that look familiar. So to start out, the week and a half to 2 weeks that we've had have been fun-filled, and they have included so much work on the part of students and the staff. Here you can see the Los Altos pep rally, and going through, you'll see a little bit more of it in just a second. But we're continuing to focus on the 3 main goals of academic excellence for all, equity, and engagement. And as we're traveling and looking into classrooms and going up and down the hallways, we're definitely seeing engagement. I've looked at the front of the room, the back of the room. Everyone is really sitting up, excited, and ready for this new year. So it's wonderful to see that engagement happening. As we continue to monitor the enrollment, I been looking at it. It's remained relatively flat, but you can see we're at about 4,334, and it's divided rather equally amongst the two comprehensive high schools. We also have our option B that has under 20. And while it is a great option, it's nice to see that students want to be in the classrooms at school physically. So we do have that reserved as an option, and thank you to Adult Ed for supporting it more fully this year. We also have middle college in our partnership with Palo Alto, College Now, and our Alta Vista program, which I believe is going on a record unexcused absence. I don't want to jinx it, but we're really seeing that monitoring of absences at Alta Vista making a big difference. So we're excited about our students. You can see they're showing engagement by attending. Through some of the programs on the left, it is a village, as was stated. You can see a booster club meeting, and they held it outside on the left at Mountain View, and on the right, the beautiful weight room that is Los Altos. And you can see that every inch of our campuses are being used fully, and it's wonderful to see that. Moving forward to the arts. On the left, you can see in the theater, you can see our choir. I believe that's Jill Denny there. On the left, she can actually choreograph from any angle. Doesn't have to be right in the middle in the front. And then on the right, you can see our band, and they're also working very hard and practicing and developing their skills. Going forward as well on opening day, because we had our board meeting of our welcome back staff, we really didn't get to see the great shots of the first days of school. And today we were commenting that I don't know what you call it, the wave, the green wave. Yes. I had reservations, frankly, when I first saw that before. And I thought, what are they going to do with this? And now they fight to get on that spot. Every day you'll see students, they've kind of scouted areas, they're reading, they're on their laptops. And so I stand corrected and gladly corrected. And then on the right here, one of the activities that we saw at Los Altos, they had ice cream. And I know both campuses did a lot of things to welcome the freshmen and to make them feel part of the community. We also held, and Julie Bowe led the adult education welcome back. And, it was attended by city leaders. We had a keynote who spoke about WASC, but also we had Lucas Ramirez speak about the importance of education in our community and the importance of partnership. And so we were grateful to have that as well. And just a wonderful job of welcoming back the adult ed component of our district. And you can see some of the staff members that worked on it here, and a classroom in action. Here's some more pictures from the welcome back. You can see here our board members, Julie, we have Jonathan Fu, who is our new assistant director, Lucas, and a great morning and wonderful presentation. Other presentations, we went around to the different campuses. There's Ms. Woolfolk in her, I think every principal should have that first day of school picture they can look back on in the future. So we did get one for Ms. Woolfolk, and you can see Alba Garza explaining all of the community resources that are available at Alta Vista. And one thing I liked that I saw that was very unique is every staff member circled the students in the multi-use room, and they each spoke about how they were there to support the students in the middle. So just a very, very symbolic moment. And here you see also more of the pep rally at Los Altos, and having fun and a lot of great pep rally shots. I want to also commend, and I think I have some others, that Mountain View's social media and the pep rally has really just taken off. And so it's really fun to watch. And so thank you to Kip Glazier for really the work to bring that excitement and ASB and all of the fun things that they're doing as well. But I always like a shot so you really can feel what it's like in a pep rally, because I don't know if you can even really feel it unless you're there, but imagine being surrounded by humanity And I'm hoping this works because if you look in the purple and the red, I kind of got it half jump, but they were so excited. And this is the end. And let's see if we can kind of get a little bit of their excitement, a very little snapshot. So. Yeah, I just wanted to document in case I was trampled that you're there. Just the excitement that they had, and I just turned the camera that way, and that's when they started to jump. So super fun stuff happening. And here, more of some of the fun things that are happening here at Los Altos. And you can see the students in their as they're dressing up. And then Mountain View High School, they also had an amazing pep rally. They, both campuses were here on the weekend, but I know firsthand that hearing from their principal that the work that they put into the weekend and getting ready for the pep rally, and I love how they're both student led. I mean, the students are already on the microphones and it's the first week of school. And so you can kind of see in there the decorations, yellow, definitely everywhere, and the fun that was had. And they had school colors, and you can kind of see on the right, but I have it also on good authority that the freshmen had some help from a guest tug of war person in their principal. And so, I think it's good starting out helping the freshmen out. They'll remember you later for that. And very fun in their tug of war and all of the fun they had. And here on the left, a first day of school here with President Vonnegut and Dr. Glazier, and just both campuses had the photo booth, and just really it felt wonderful to be back and welcoming. ASB did an amazing job of making that happen. And they didn't end with the first day. They continued dressing up, pajama day on the right, Where's Waldo on the left. I have to admit, I saw another picture of the entire admin team in stripes, and I didn't know it was Where's Waldo Day, and I thought, that's odd. But once they put the rest of it together, I did finally catch on. Moving forward, there's so many great things about our district, and we're so excited to have this opportunity to be back together. And I know we were back last year, but it just feels better this year. And so our speaker series is coming up. Our next one will be Tuesday, September 13th. And the theme or the topic will be You're Enough, How to Apply to College While Keeping Perspective. So great topic. This one will be on Zoom. And so we're easing back, but one of the benefits of Zoom is that we were able to have speakers from the East Coast or speakers who really have to travel. And so I know that the team is mixing it up a little bit this year. The first one will be on Zoom, and I believe the rest will be in person and taking turns in our theaters. And I think the last one will be, I think it's going to be at the Performing Arts Center at Foothill. So they're having different locations as well. And then this is the picture that Sadie spoke about. And I didn't get up to make the signs, but I did enjoy the signs and the welcome. And many of our staff, they said that was the best part of their morning, to get to see the students and cheering and all that fun. And that energy that early, it woke us up. So thank you for that. And just one last announcement, our back to school night in person. And so we will have on Thursday, August 25th at Los Altos and Mountain View. They will be having their back to school night, and they have just a little smidgen of a different schedule, and they will be using their bells. So Los Altos is at 8 and Mountain View at 8:16. And I know our board and everyone is looking forward to attending. And then Alta Vista will be at 6 to 7:15 on September 1st. So yes.
Just a quick question, for all of these, are we starting in the gyms or the multi at Alta, or are parents starting in their classrooms, or where's the start point?
I can speak to Alta because I inquired and I understand there's a dinner. So I know that they are starting in the multi-use room, and yes, and
Planning on it to be.
and I'm not certain. Oh, so great.
All the clubs will be there right at the last.
I love that. I love that tradition where the clubs are around.
Okay.
And Los Altos, I'm not certain, same thing. Oh, that's great, because I know that their clubs will be there too then. Okay, so they'll be starting out in the quad grass area. So everyone can kind of see each other. Thank you, Christo. Thank you for that question. And so then finally, our goal is to wear these hats, hopefully more than once. And with that, thank you. That is my report.
Thank you, Dr. Meyer. Is there any other questions for Dr. Meyer? Moving on, is there any communications from our district organization? We do not see DTA or CSEA here, so there's none. So we'll move down to 14, and 14.1 is public comment on items not on the agenda. I will summarize that a little bit more if there is anyone, and give you the rules of engagement if there is any. No? Okay, so we have none of that. So we now move to the consolidated motion, and we already pulled 1511. So I would entertain a motion for the rest of the consolidated motion to be approved.
Move to approve the consolidated motion item 15.1 to 15.12, 20 minus 1511.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor, well, first of all, Ava, what do you say?
I agree.
Okay, Sadie, what do you say?
I agree.
All right, rest of the board, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that one carries. I just wanted to, for the public's benefit, mention that a lot of these are for special ed services, and they're contracts that we make every year for these different agencies that we have our students either placed somewhere else or that come in to support our special ed students. And then we have some construction ones. And I was going to ask Mike to just say a couple words about how come we end up with contract revisions to increase costs on certain things.
Sure, I'll just briefly say, these ones in particular have more to do with the duration of projects. So sometimes, especially like air monitoring and checking of things, the project goes on longer, so they have to be on site longer. These particular were required by the Bay Area Air Quality Management District. Several others, we're starting to see this more and more, but there's cost increase of the materials. So particularly like steel and student services and whatnot. The time they bid, they build in the current price with some upward adjustment possible, but above a certain threshold, it's well beyond what's foreseeable and really hard to bake that into a competitive bid. So often we are starting to see some of those material price increase afterwards. And sometimes the question comes up, well, why don't they just buy it right after bid day? Well, with things like steel, you can't just buy it. You have to, procure it, send it to the manufacturer a certain way, and they have to get certain things approved by DSA. So there is a lag on some of that from bid day. So hopefully that is a good summary for you of those changes.
And in some cases, we do hold the line and make the contractor cover the cost of certain things, but when that's out of their control, if you will, the contract even has it already in there that in certain cases, when it would be out of their control, we'll negotiate an adjustment. And that is what we've done here. Thank you, Mike. Just wanted everybody to be clear on that. Next, we would have 16. We didn't have any, we did have an item pulled, but we're not going to cover it tonight by the request of staff. Next, we have our business action, and this will be exciting. We have the presentation on the MVLA CTE program courses. Thank you.
All right. Well, good evening, trustees. It is great to be back for the 22-23 school year. And a great way to start off with a presentation on CTE at MVLA. And equally, it's great to have our brand new position that was funded by the foundation, the CTE program specialist, on her first day at the district, co-presenting with me on this very important presentation. And when I talked to Amber Woodward earlier last week, and I said, hey, first day of the job, would you be interested in co-presenting at a board meeting to our trustees on CTE? And with zero hesitation, she said, I'm in, just tell me what to do. And that is exactly the person that we saw in her interview. And the reference checks was somebody who just was ready to roll up her sleeves and be a part of the team and help out in whatever manner she can. And so Amber's with us tonight, coming in with experience in building CTE programs in a high school, digital art media, fabrication. She did that as a teacher, as an assistant principal. She oversaw CTE programs from agricultural science to digital media to culinary. She started a sports medicine pathway at one of her schools. And through all this, her lens in building these programs were about equity, making sure that access was given to all students, regardless of their income, their demographics, or the program that they belong to. And so it's a real honor to have you up here with me, as well as joining our team. And so for today's presentation, we'd like to take some time and just clarify the importance of why CTE is important to be part of a high school program and offerings for our students. We also want to take a look and share with you our current MVLA pathways, the benefits of those pathways. What does it mean to be a pathway? And then moving forward, what are our goals for expansion and next steps? And I'll say that Amber and I are ping-ponging back and forth. That's why we're kind of close up here at the mic. And so it's going to be a dynamic presentation. And I'll actually turn it over to Amber next.
Okay, so why is our work important? Research shows that a successful CTE program has several components. CTE leads to higher graduation rates. It improves student achievement. We also see that we are creating students who are ready for the workforce and that they have a sense of direction. So there's a lot of benefits to CTE classes and why our work is important. But CTE programs create a sense of belonging for students, and that's something that is really important and sometimes not mentioned. And also CTE supports all demographics, as Ms. Ott just mentioned, accessibility for all students, no matter what their career goals are, whether they're going to a UC, a CSU, community college, or they're looking to go into the military or go into work right after high school. We are making sure that AP students, no matter where they are and what their goals are, that we are making sure that CTE classes are accessible to everyone. And so that is part of why our work is important. Okay, so this slide is communicating how the state of California values CTE education by offering 3 out of 9 ways to be college and career ready. So if you can see the little stars up there, Ms. Ott has been gracious enough to put the stars where those 3 areas are. And you'll see the first one is under A, career technical education pathway completion, +1 of the following. So smarter balance assessments, they have to have at least a level 3 standard met, and then also 1 semester of dual enrollment. So that's one way. And then if you'll go down to C, completion of 2 semesters or 3/4 of dual enrollment with a passing grade. And then the last one is E, completion of courses that meet University of California UC A through G criteria, +1 of the following, and you'll see that CTE pathway completion. So that creates our 3 out of 9 ways, which the state of California has put that value on how to be college and career ready.
So the classes at Mountain View Los Altos District include our very own Freestyle Academy. Freestyle Academy offers within the one industry sector of arts, media, and entertainment 3 different pathways. It's an academy because a pathway is 2 classes. An academy is 3 or more classes that are all connected, all taught through the lens of whatever the local pathway field is. And so that includes, as an example, their English class, which is an English taught with the Common Core English standards, but it's also taught through the lens of design, film production, or digital art media while learning those Common Core English standards. Our two comprehensive high schools have slightly different pathways. Mountain View High School has an engineering technology pathway that includes two classes. One of them is Engineering Technology 1, and the subsequent class then to complete that pathway would be to complete Engineering Technology 2. Brand new this past year, classes built and for our technology department, including engineering technology, and big rooms, spacious, great work areas, great equipment for students to engage in this pathway. Los Altos High School has 3 CTE qualified pathways. One is proto and fabrication. And that is the design and proto, or followed by design and fabrication classes. They also offer a robotics pathway that requires students to take robotics 1 year and robotics 2 the following. And the last one is culinary arts, which requires students to take culinary art 1, and to continue is to take the second course. These are A to G qualified classes. And if a student wants to take the first class and not the second, then they get that elective credit, but not completion. And almost all of these classes are mostly junior, senior classes, although we do have some sophomores that are taking these classes.
Really quick clarifying, sorry to interrupt. Okay, so I think I heard you just say that a pathway is 2 and an academy is 3. Is that correct? So you said that was freestyle, so freestyle is the
Correct.
academy. Okay, so I didn't think it was in here later, but I apologize. We've also talked about a 4-year sequence that has an intro and a capstone, right? So that's still an academy, or what is that?
Usually an academy has a capstone. That's
Okay.
part of the senior project.
Okay, but it doesn't have to be 4 years, it can be 3.
Yeah, it's hard with 4 years because getting a freshman in,
Right.
but it can be.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I'm just trying to, I'm hearing some new nomenclature. Thanks.
Great question.
And just to clarify on the engineering technology one, I went online just to find out where the robotics fit in at Mountain View, and I get it is offered in the engineering technology, right? So we don't have one that stands alone, but the offering for that pathway is embedded in the engineering.
At Mountain View High School?
At Mountain View.
I want to double check my facts on that, but I believe robotics is an after-school program. It's not a class offering.
Okay.
Where at Los Altos, it is a class offering.
I think it's embedded in, according to the write-up, I could be wrong, but I think I read that it's embedded into a bit of the class curriculum.
I thought it was a class at one point in time, like a standalone class, like you said, but maybe did it go away?
It was at one point, but close to a decade ago, it became an after-school club and not a course.
Right,
Mhm.
thanks.
Let me do a fact check in, and I'll get back to you on if what types of robotic curriculum is embedded within the engineering. I mean, the two somewhat goes hand in hand with robotics and needing that engineering lens to perform it. So good question. Thank you.
Well, both schools do fabulous in robotics, so wherever they're learning it, they're doing it incredibly well.
I like to think people move into the area to be a part of one of our 2 robotics programs. Just saying.
I have one more quick
Yes,
question,
please.
and that is, in terms of, engineering sometimes requires you to have more math and this and that. Are there official prerequisites written down for these, or do these mostly almost all stand alone, or?
There's no prerequisites for these courses. Well, let me take that back. So for engineering 2, the prerequisite would be that you completed engineering 1, but to be an engineering 1, it's not asking you to complete any level of math. Mhm. So to take a look at enrollment of numbers, now these are duplicated numbers, meaning a student could be taking robotics and culinary arts, and they're counted in each of those. So what this shows us is, first of all, how many students are participating in those pathways, as well as how many students are completing those pathways. So as an example, if you looked at Mountain View High School engineering tech, you can see that 106 students are in the engineering tech and 31 complete. That's pretty typical that at the first level, you have a large number of students taking that first level, and it's a little bit of a pyramid. And the second course, you tend to lose students. And so to see the participants versus completers looking at different numbers is not atypical in any program. And then this just shows you overall what our numbers are showcasing. And again, I just want to point out a couple pieces. One, Los Altos does a really nice job of having 3 pathways that are that are slightly different from one another, really trying to give interest to students. Where Los Altos High School has an engineering tech, and their numbers are extremely high in participation, even compared to our school that has 3. And so I don't want to take away from not having the quantity of programs with having a great outcome or turnout in that course.
What can you do?
Go ahead.
When you attribute to the fewer number of people completing pathways?
Sure, yeah, please.
So there's a lot of factors that keep students from completing a pathway. Usually it comes down to interest, competing electives, teacher. Sometimes it depends on what they want to do. They don't have room on their schedule, depending on what they're taking and meeting state standards for graduation A through G. So it comes down to master schedule, accessibility, interest. So there's a lot of factors that go into creating pathway completers.
I'll also say we see that in world language, students taking first year world language and a decrease in how many students continue in the world language with taking drawing 1 versus drawing 2 or photo 1 to photo 2. And so the attrition into that second class is not atypical.
I think for world languages, because they want to fulfill the requirements, that makes sense. So as long as they fulfill the requirement, then they're done. But this is an elective, right? This is something that they choose to do. So they chose to do one of these and then they're choosing not to do it. I was just curious why. And I think interest might be the thing that would be, it'd be interesting to know, kind of go a little deep understanding why.
That's part of my goal in my very big
Exactly,
position.
that's maybe.
Is creating that interest so that it's not just an elective, that students understand it's a pathway and that we do want to emphasize completion. And so that's a whole other topic, but a very important one that I hope to look at and improve.
I think there's also a benefit in learning what you don't want to continue.
Yeah.
And so there may be someone who goes into film production and then decides, I prefer something else. So part of this exploration, although I'm a big fan of completion, there is that other side.
Okay, one more question about the Mountain View sequence. For many years, they attached architecture to it, and does that still, do we still have a qualified teacher? I know the person teaching it, and they were getting a credential for CTE. So does it not count as an academy until we have that CTE credential in place?
So the teacher does have a CTE
Okay,
credential,
okay.
but it doesn't have a sequenced pathway that's noted by the state of California as a sequenced pathway.
Oh, so even though the category is called engineering and architecture, it's engineering over here and architecture. So
That's
we would have to have
correct.
3 architectures to have an academy.
Or-
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, fair.
What I want-
Go ahead, yeah, and I may have one more too. Go ahead.
So how, if you can answer these questions. Okay.
No, I was telling her to start grabbing the mic. When there's a mic, I just feel like I keep it.
I know. So don't feel obligated to, how different is the second year compared to the first year in terms of what is being taught and, what is expected of the students?
So to be a pathway completer, the second year is the advanced level of whatever topic. So for robotics, the second year is obviously going to be much harder than the first year. And that is one reason why sometimes students change, because maybe they want to try something else. They're still learning about what they're interested in high school and what they want to be. But that is one of the factors. But it's also one of the things that we want to help students continue so that they do complete that commitment to take robotics and they go all the way through the pathway and get through that robotics too.
I remember. Okay.
And so you want to go for?
No, go ahead. No, stand.
So other question I have is, since you have so much experience, have you seen a benefit for students to be able to complete a pathway and acceptance into college?
Absolutely.
So where basically they put on the resume, they've completed.
Yeah.
Basically that's a big, I don't know who knows big ones, but at least it's a.
It shows dedication, drive. One of the things that has to happen in order for that to occur, though, it starts with master schedule administration and making sure, like there are some schools where they won't move them out. They say, okay, you signed a contract, you're doing robotics 1 and 2, it's a 2-year commitment, or it's a double block. Like it's, depending on the school. So there's different ways to do that, and most schools don't pull students into something like that because they're high school.
Right. Could I give a quick little story? So my niece did engineering pathway, CTE pathway completion. And she was accepted into the engineering department at her university, and they honored her pathway. And that is why they accepted her as one, grades and all of those pieces as well. But they accepted her as a freshman right into the engineering department and noted that the course completion was a large portion of that.
That's something I think we should have. Very important for a lot of students.
So that was actually, it was good that you went first, because my question was actually, what would a student see? Because my son actually completed the Mountain View pathway through engineering, but I didn't ever notice anything like on his transcript or his diploma. Or I didn't notice anything that said, hey, rah, completed so what would a student see?
So for example, culinary. If a student showed culinary 1 and culinary 2, they might have like a food serve certificate by the time they finish the pathway, which means that if they're going to chef school, they're going into the industry, maybe they don't have to take that first level when they get to college, or maybe they're going to get a higher paying job going right into the industry after high school because they have that certificate. And you can only usually get that certificate either in the second course of the pathway, or if it's an academy in the third capstone course.
Also, in the school profile, you advertise it with the MCT pathway. And both my sons also did Energy and Utility Academy. And it was a 3-year course, and I attributed our kids, our own personal kids getting West Point, and they did only say that because the determination and grit to stay in one pathway sometimes outweighs the student jumping from one transfer. I don't need to, but I'm a big, like, CTA, Health Career Academy, there are lots of opportunities if you're trying to support our students' interests as well as help them be very competitive in the new college admissions landscape. I think the T pathway is one of the best ways to really support our.
The questions are because we're really excited, not because we're the other direction.
love it.
We're very excited by all the prospects here. So please be reassured. Yeah.
Just a quick comment, the capstone class as well can sometimes be an articulated credit with college credit. So that's another way that third course can help the students towards college. So they'll look and they'll see your senior year, you really started on your pathway to take some of those foundational college courses. So I'm excited about it too.
So this is showing currently where we're at. Well, this was from our 2021 California dashboard data of our completion. So they completed a pathway all the way through. You can see our numbers are 92 that completed the pathways, 8% of our population. So that's an area of growth for us, is to increase those completers, as well as you can see that the demographics are a little bit disproportionate. And so that's another area of growth for us, to see proportionality between our ethnicities as well as our programs having access to great, strong CTE programs. We also are taking a look, talking about areas of growth. Currently, we track our CTE courses by just course enrollment. One of the earlier slides where the numbers were duplicated, and we're just seeing how many students are in our CTE acknowledged pathways. Moving forward from this year, I'm working with our Ed Services Department, and we really want to disaggregate this data so it's more meaningful and helpful for us to be able to make informed decisions moving forward. So not only will be still tracking the number of students enrolled in the CTE pathway, but disaggregating that data by ethnicity and special programs. So we're seeing who's having access or not to what of our pathways and courses. We also, number 2, want to start monitoring and tracking the number of students completing pathways. That's something that we're not currently doing. And in addition, disaggregating that based on ethnicity and special programs. And lastly, we want to add this as a board indicator. Board indicators are prioritizing these sets of data, are helpful in us making informed decision that supports all students moving college and career ready. And by adding this to the board indicator with those data points will be, I think, very helpful for our conversations and movement forward. Lastly, we have a variety of ways of funding our CTE programs, from our general funds to a variety of grants to even some of our extended learning and effective educator grants. We're able to support some of our work in our CTE classes or with our teachers in professional learning. And in order to be a CTE California accredited or required class, there are certain requirements that our classes and our teachers need to uphold. And I'm going to ask Amber to share that with us.
So what does it take to create a robust CTE pathway? In addition to state standards, CTE teachers also teach CTE standards. So there's two sets of standards, and a lot of people aren't aware of that. And so that's one of the things that's really important about a CTE class. And then CTE classes provide career exploration. They also have advisory committee meetings, and sometimes those are curricular, sometimes they're budgetary, sometimes both. They provide opportunities for students to gain access to opportunities outside of school, such as field trips, internships, work-based learning. There are lots of competitions. There's just lots of great, rich opportunities for students that help create a robust CTE pathway. One of the challenges that we face in CTE, however, is that teachers have to have 3 years of work experience directly related to the industry sector that they're teaching in. So 1 year must be within the last 5 years for that teacher, or 2 of the years have to be within the last 10 years. So it's 3 years total. A year is equivalent to 1,000 hours, 25 weeks at a 40-hour work week. So if you think about that, that's kind of a tall ask for teachers when they're already working so hard and teaching state standards, and then we're asking them, hey, we need you to get the CTE credential too. So that's going to be one of our challenges that we're looking forward to tackling, and I'm hoping that we can get more of our teachers CTE credentialed, because in order to offer a CTE pathway, the teacher must be CTE credentialed. So that's one of the kind of obstacles that we are facing. And in talking to Ms. Vaught, we've been discussing this, because many teachers have a single subject credential, but they're not able, or they don't have the time to get the CTE credential. Or maybe they have the CTE credential, but they don't have the single subject. That's a different scenario.
So the work experience you're talking about. So for a teacher, how did the teacher get that work experience?
So they have to have it in the industry.
So before they even become a teacher, they have to already be working?
Yeah, so like in my case, for example, I have an AME credential. I worked as a working artist. I had gallery exhibitions. I sold my work. I did web design. I did all of that as an artist. And so I was able to prove that my 2,000 hours, even though I already had a single subject credential. So I went and got that so that my students could then be in a CTE pathway that I taught.
I'll also add, as an example, we have a teacher who has only been teaching as his whole entire career, and is teaching a class that has potential to be a pathway. And so in conversations, he's interested in getting his credential. And what that means is he has to go out and find somebody in the industry and work for them, paid or unpaid, for 1,000 hours in order to get his CTE credential.
The hours. So 1,000 hours counts as that 1 year?
1 year. And so that's all you need if you have a single subject California credential. You just need to get 1,000 hours and then take a CTE foundational course. But it's that work experience that they're saying you need to have in order to be CTE certified. Because you think about it, you're not just teaching a class. You're really doing hands-on job skills training and coaching as if you've been in the field, right? You want to teach your students as if you are in the field, giving them that experience. And so that's why the requirements are so stringent, that they really do need you to have that work experience.
Do you have to have a test or anything at the end, like you do in other credentialing programs?
There's some classes that you have to take. Yeah.
Well, classes, and those have tests, or?
Just the log of your hours.
Okay.
Mhm.
Is there any summer capabilities for teachers to do something during the summer so they get CTT qualified? I mean, because it's like 40 hours divided into 1,000. That's a lot of time to try to be able to do that during the school year, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, I don't know. I would hope that
There
there's some
might
way
be
to do it
now.
during the summer.
When I did it, I don't know that there were
Right.
any, but I'm sure there are some now. Things have changed a lot.
You said 1,000 in the first 5 years or 2,000 in 10 years or something like that, but what I heard?
Yeah, so
Okay.
depending on your situation, how long it's been since you worked in the industry, those are your options.
So you can see why some of our teachers who may have interest hear this exorbitant amount of hours that they would have to work and just feel like it's a really big hill and maybe even too hard to climb.
Well, especially during teacher shortages, right? Now we're asking them to be CT certified during teacher shortages where they have to go out into the industry to make the hours.
And I know this isn't solving our current problem with our amazing staff, but in multiple conversations with Dr. Meyer, we keep coming back to the topic of when we're hiring teachers, we need perhaps to start looking at multiple areas, not just the strength of being in the classroom teaching, but what type of experience have you had before you came into the teaching field and how could that help with some of these pathways?
That's why I like that's the other way around. So
Right.
where the industry people who have been working in the industry for a long time want to then go on to say, okay, they'd like to go into teaching. That's an easier pathway,
Yes.
right? Because then they all, what do they have to do? They have to pass, obviously,
Yes.
they have to get the teacher credentialing. Well, that's it, right? That's all they have to do. Then they can become a teacher, or is there something else they'd have to do?
So do they have to do bits out of here, like their new teacher?
Yeah, you'd have to do an induction.
It's the much easier way, though. It's the more common way,
Yeah. but not very good.
more accessible.
Still, it takes a while because you have to do student teaching and you have to go through all the, everything to do that, right?
Yeah, and depending on the program, it could be a one-year program. Many teacher credential programs is a one-year program that gives you your courses straight into or sometimes it's even overlapping with your student teaching, like Stanford STEP program as an example. And or you could potentially, if the school has the program existing, be a CTE teacher without the teacher credential. And I think maybe that's what we were talking about earlier, right? And so there's a couple possibilities.
So the flip side to that is, let's say you're coming in as a fabricator and you have industry experience in metal fabrication, but you want to be a CTE teacher. So now you're coming in, you have all that content knowledge, but you're having to learn how to manage discipline of a class and all the things that teachers are taught. So it's a different sort of experience and it comes with its own challenge.
I would just add for the board and others information that we are part, or I am part of a high school superintendent group across the state. And CTE is one of the areas that we have been continuing to lobby for some flexibility and understanding and trying to open some of those doors. So been part of that and some progress in that area. But we still do want the content experts.
I have had 2 teachers email me about clearing their credential before I started. So there's good news, there's hope. I'm very excited.
But I think this slide points just to the uniqueness of having a CTE class and pathway. You have to have an advisory committee. What other courses and departments have to have an advisory committee with outside industry being a part of it? You have to provide career and job exploration opportunities. You have to have work-based learning experience. You're not just teaching CTE standards, you have very specific CTE curriculum that you're teaching, right? And so unique requirements from the rest of our teachers who are not teaching CTE. And speaking of number 4 with the work-based learning experience, what exactly does that mean? Well, it's quite a spectrum. So providing work-based learning, again, gives that student the lens, the ability to see themselves in a variety of ways within that industry sector. It could be as simple as having guest speakers or doing interviews or doing field trips to work sites or job shadows, all the way to building up internships with our students to be able to actually be in the weeds and doing the work alongside day in and day out with somebody in that field. And again, this is a requirement somewhere along these spectrums multiple times throughout the year to bring in this work-based learning experience as part of their curriculum. And so how are we supporting our current CTE programs, strengthening our current CTE programs, as well as growing our CTE programs? This is an org chart for CTE. Ed Services Department will support our CTE program, providing it resources, support, data. Our CTE program specialist is really the head that is taking the reins and guiding us through this work. Everything from coaching and working with teachers, getting in the classroom and doing observations, making sure that our current pathways are being compliant with these requirements, helping them create the advisories and have the advisory meetings throughout the year, collecting the data that they need, working with our, like I said, our CTE teachers to provide quality programs to our students, working with our College and Career Center. So when our CTE program specialist is out there networking and has resources of internships or summer work, is able to give that to our College and Career Center so that we're offering that to all students. And we have a connector coordinator position. The Peak Avid coordinator, she wears a couple of different hats, but she does a really strong job of building networks with outside industry, and then brings those networks into our classes so that we're supporting that college and career readiness, whether it be in our Avid classes, our supervised study classes, or working with our program program specialists for CTE to bring in very explicit or specific industries into the CTE classes.
Okay, so goals and expansion. The goal of MVLA CT expansion effort is to create more opportunities and accessibility for all. So we want to strengthen our ties within the community. We want to make sure that everyone has access to these great programs and make sure that students are aware of how important these opportunities are, and also completing the pathway and hoping that it's going to help them with their future goals, and making sure that everyone is aware of the opportunity and takes advantage of this great opportunity. So what the students say, there was a survey that was sent out before I came on board, and students spoke about their top 3 choices. So the top 3 choices were, as you can see, health, careers, business, and they wanted more work experience, either paid or volunteer. And then some of the other interests that were very high included mental health careers, public safety, and stagecraft, along with environmental science and resource careers. So with that information, we are looking forward to continuing to seek stakeholder input from students, staff, and our community industry partners. And so some of the possible pathways from the survey that you just saw, there are 15 industry sectors, and you can see the stars here are the ones that we already have. And then we'll look at, again, getting our teachers that we currently have possibly credentialed to strengthen those pathways and make them actual CTE pathways. And then also designing new pathways, but making sure that we are not watering down the robust programs that we already have. So we want to be aware of what's already going on here and how great the programs are, but also think about the future and where we want to go.
So talking about the future and where we want to go and what are our possibilities, we do have a nice handful of classes right now that have potential of becoming a pathway. They're either not a pathway because the teacher is not CTE certified, or it doesn't have a subsequent path, a class, a partner class to make it a complete pathway. But these are all classes that would fit in an industrial sector as a California approved CTE class. And so it just goes to show that we already have some options that we can be working with and not necessarily starting from scratch.
I have a question on this. Are we partnering also with Foothill College to help with the CTE pathways? Because I think the sports medicine is through Foothill, right?
Yeah, so a couple things. One is, yes, sports medicine is through our dual enrollment program with Foothill instructor Achilles Walker. Another opportunity that we could start to pursue is partnering with our Foothill and De Anza for concurrent enrollment and setting up an MOU to where they come to our sites and they're teaching one of these pathway classes. So we do have that CTE certified teacher in the classroom teaching it, and we can have a pathway. And I have seen some schools do co-teaching. So they have the Foothill instructor as an example, coupled by the non-CTE credentialed MVLA teacher teaching that class. And it's a great way to build out some programs when, as Amber said, you know, we have classes, we have opportunities, but for the teachers to get credentialed is a very big challenge for them. So lastly, next steps. Where does this lead us? Well, first of all, truly supporting our current pathways. Amber's getting into the classrooms, having conversations with the departments and the teachers, taking a look at their work-based learning that they're offering, the advisory, the opportunities that they're offering outside of class, which is another requirement, and making sure that our pathways are strong pathways. Also taking a look at what new opportunities should we grow with new pathways. And it's not just about popping up new classes, but a real strong CTE program. Make sure that your pathways is leading to an industry field that is in high demand. So your students are going to leave with good job opportunities. I like that third bullet, check, hire a program specialist. Yay, day one on the job. Work with our program specialists to start to analyze, you know, what are our areas of strength and growth? What is our funding sources? What are our needs for resources? As Dr. Glazer said, increased publicity and marketing. A lot about CTE is about strong publicity and marketing, not just to our colleges and to our families, but to our students. Some of our students, I'm pretty certain that they're taking these classes thinking that it's just a cool elective that they like, and they don't realize that it's actually a CTE pathway. And so we have some nice marketing that we can do, and Freestyle has done a great job of showing us a model of what strong marketing and publicizing looks like. Increase our diversity within our CTE program. And lastly, we want to partner with Alta Vista High School and work with them to provide work-based learning experiences that is helping their students leave Alta Vista High School ready to have a strong job, a strong career, whether it's going to Foothill, four-year college, or right into some sort of industry with almost close to credential certification in that field. And so to finish up with my thank you, I do want to take just a few moments and acknowledge some appreciation. One is to Brigitte Surratt, who has been a trailblazer to the district in starting the CTE programs from just CTE in general to at both sites, the TED engineering programs to the Freestyle program. I also want to thank the foundation. Had multiple conversations with the foundation last year, and they were very clear about their interest in understanding of the value that CTE brings and supporting a very valuable position as a CTE program specialist. And lastly, to Dr. Meyer. From the moment I've started having conversations with her, it was very evident that she has a strong understanding of what CTE can bring to all students and desire to have those opportunities grow and flourish here at Mountain View High School, at Mountain View Los Altos High School District, and has just been a very big advocate and supporter in making this happen. So thank you. And I think everybody asked all the questions already.
I have one more question, and that is an articulation with the adult school. So is that going to fit in somehow too?
That is one of her first 30 days is to meet with Julie Vo and sit down and learn about their strong CTE program. Absolutely.
Thank you so much for fielding the questions that I sent in over the weekend, and apologies because clearly I was looking at my copy, which was black and white, and obviously you had already delineated the high schools. So thank you for, but thanks for fielding the questions too.
Yeah, just thank you. It's just reading through it, it just feels like there's another good reason. I wish I was back in high school. Take these courses.
I think we need to.
That's right. I see a future for you. Yeah. Okay, thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much, and we're glad to welcome you. Bill, any questions from you?
No. I think you
All right.
guys covered it all.
After that was so exciting, I don't know if we can go on something else. All right. Now, the next is we need to have a public hearing on the proposed 2022-23 salary schedule to expand the CTE ROP classes. So this salary schedule would go with those classes. So I will close the school board meeting and open the public hearing on this topic. Is there any public that wants to comment on the topic? Hearing none, I will close the public hearing on the salary schedule. So that was like 8:22 and 8:23 or something like that. Okay, so we'll move on. And so now I will take, I would like to have a motion presented to approve the salary schedule.
Okay, yeah, just ask a question.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I did too. Go ahead. It's probably the same one.
Yeah, maybe. So just each is 1,000 hours is step one, step two. So each, well, how does the steps according to years of industry experience?
No, that's
Okay,
yours
thank
with
you.
that.
This is a great question. Is it okay that I answer? Okay.
Please do.
So this salary schedule is not necessarily representing the 1,000 hours. What it actually represents is the end of the spectrum that Terry was talking about, where we have people who have been previously in industry who may not have a traditional bachelor's degree, so they don't fit anywhere within our current salary schedule, but they are capable of teaching courses. So we have two examples in this district. One currently right now is not affiliated with this salary schedule because it's part of a consortium that we're part of in order to employ individuals who have this particular type of credential. And we are looking to expand. And so there are other qualified candidates that we can hire, but we need to have a salary schedule where we can see them. And currently our salary schedule starts with a BA.
Yeah, that was my question. The AA is an associate's, right? This is the 2-year degree, but tons of the industry experience, right?
Correct. Tons
it.
of
That's what I was
specific
trying to
industry
A
experience.
Slightly different
Yes.
schedule. Okay,
Yeah. Mhm.
Got it.
So I guess, how does the steps coordinate? So like.
Okay, sorry. So I didn't answer that part of the question. Okay, so then the steps would be typically years of experience with us, or if they came in with specific teaching experience in this regard. So it's based on years of experience.
Okay.
Sorry.
Or industry, I thought.
No, it's
each
not, if you
step
have
is-
20 years in industry, you don't come in.
Yeah,
step
usually you wouldn't come in at the highest step. It would be relevant to, it would be in a field that would be commensurate to what we're having them do here, because it's assumed that you have industry experience if you're teaching a CTE or ROP class.
So can someone from the industry come in at a step 10?
Probably not, no, not just straight from industry, probably not.
Normally they would come in at what's, I guess that's from, and maybe to how they, so somebody's been working for 30 years in the industry.
Mhm.
Wants to come in,
Mhm.
where would they be?
I feel like this is a trick question. So again, it's a specific,
I think
I know,
Yeah.
for people who have experience in education in various settings, that would be accounted for. So a lot of times people may have done some kind of adjunct, professorial duty or whatever. So, but all I want to say is if you have not worked in the teaching realm with students, you probably would not come in at 10.
I-
But if you had a degree and experience in certain things, we could hire up. And this might be if we were recruiting.
And 8 years being on
at a
board.
high
school
school.
board, become 1 year.
There's a teacher at a specialized engineering course in another district
Right.
that wants to come here, and they might be.
Higher on the scale.
Mhm.
We're gonna-
Yeah.
Very good job, Dr. Mayer. Yeah, so we have, we actually built this schedule because it was an issue in recruiting someone who had quite a lot of teaching experience to be able to come in because we didn't have a specific place for them. So this is designed to, have a place for these types of highly qualified individuals within our salary schedule. Obviously, BA is preferred. But again, if we want to open up these pathways, we need to be open to all different types of experience. And they are credentialed through the CTC, individuals who will be on this salary schedule.
Thank you.
So I move that we approve the 22-23 proposed CTE ROP salary schedule.
There's a second,
I said.
second by Sanjay. Okay. Abba, what say you? Board, all those in favor say aye.
Aye. Thank you, Lou.
There was no nay, so I won't even ask. All right, now we get another public hearing. The next thing we're gonna have a public hearing on is resolution number 2022/2023-2, textbook and instructional materials compliance. So I will close the general meeting and open the public hearing at 8:30. Is there anyone that has comments about in the public hearing about the instructional material compliance?
I just want to thank the board for comments and suggestions and questions regarding the textbook list.
I think you got all those ahead of time. Yeah. So then, oh, you have another one?
Yeah.
Okay,
Do close.
I'm sure that you don't have to say it during public hearing because this, you're not public, you're us, the board. All right, so I will close the public hearing on the textbook and instructional materials compliance and reopen the general meeting at 8:31. Oh, I was ahead on the clock anyway. So couple minutes difference. Depending on whose clock it was. She'll put it in the minutes. All right. So now we're done with the public hearing part and now we're on to 17.5, the request. So would you like to talk about it?
So I just have a question on the list. So there was one on the list I couldn't find when I looked it up was it's about let's see from the bottom. 9 from the bottom. It's called Sonia Few. Does anybody know what that is? Because I couldn't find it on.
It's a world lit book.
Yeah, I know it's a literature, but I just couldn't figure out what that was. So I don't know if I can. I don't know. Maybe. Anybody else? Yeah, I looked it up. I cannot. It's okay. It's flu. FEW. So maybe it's a misspelling. It's a typo. Ah, okay. Maybe that's what it is. Okay.
Is it flu or flu? FL.
Flew away. Oh, maybe that's what it was. Then.
Okay,
Okay.
misspell.
Okay.
It's a play, okay. Any other questions on the materials list?
You're gonna mention something about Slaughterhouse Farm?
I have no comment.
Okay.
It's a pretty good book. Okay. Yeah, there is. So I would take a motion to approve the textbook and instructional materials request for 2022-23.
I move to approve the textbook and instructional materials for 2022-23 school year.
Second.
Okay, we have moved in second. Any other comments? Hearing none. Abba?
I approve.
Sadie?
I approve.
Board, all those in favor say aye.
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 That's all of us. So that's a 5-0 vote. So now we actually have I know it seems redundant, but we actually have the resolution about the materials. So that is to confirm through the public hearing that we're in full compliance with the provisions listed in the resolution. So is there a motion to adopt this resolution?
Before we get to a motion, I would like to point out that the 4th paragraph in the resolution refers to detailed information presented at a public meeting. And I want to make sure that Terry has an opportunity to address all the points in the resolution and confirm that indeed, with the adoption of with the approval of the request for textbook materials, that we just passed and all the other materials that we have already in stock, that each student will receive sufficient instructional materials and textbooks for each course that they are taking at each high school.
Terry?
I sent an email to this effect earlier, so.
Correct. So all of the instructional materials that students are using have been vetted and have brought forth either prior or to this hearing to get approval from you that they have sufficient and appropriate instructional materials for every single student. Phil did send me an email asking about ethnic studies and that there was no ethnic studies on this instructional material list. The ethnic studies teachers have not gone through any textbook adoption or instructional material adoption process yet, as all of these instructional materials that are on this log have gone through that process. And so part of what our small implementation pilot is this year is to be able to provide that selection process moving into full implementation.
And Terry, I would also just circle back to this resolution as we're agreeing does state that we will have sufficient textbooks or materials needed for all of the courses. And just a moment, an opportunity to just remind us and brag that we really have a strong record through Williams, through the Williams Act, of having those sufficient materials and textbooks, as well as facilities and as well as hiring. So that is, I would say, the most important part of this resolution.
Yeah, I just want to add that Terry, I wasn't referring to the email about ethnic studies, but a subsequent email that I sent. So I think I have been assured that the conditions have been met. And I think that's sufficient detail. Anyone requesting further detail can get it from Terry or the district office.
Correct. Thank you, Phil.
Okay, so motion?
Yes, we have the motion still here.
Okay, I move that we adopt resolution number 2022/2023-02, textbook and instructional materials. Oh, sorry, I think the official title is actually sufficiency of textbook and.
I second.
Second, then moved by Leon and second by Sanjay. Any other discussion? No? Then Ava, what do you say?
I approve.
Okay. Sadie?
I approve.
Board, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, none. Right. So there we have it. Now we will move down to review of calendar of events. And Dr. Meyer already mentioned back to school nights. Do you know who's coming to which school yet, or do we still need to solidify that?
I believe we have all of it. I do not know off the top of my head, but I would.
I'll probably run.
Mountain View, I thought you might.
I claimed Mountain View.
So Mountain View, Mountain View, Los Altos, Los Altos.
Okay. So we're going to Los Altos. Everybody, all right. And then how many of us were going to go to Alta
I
Vista?
think we're all going to Alta.
Yeah.
Oh, we're all
We're all
going.
coming to Dan.
Phil, are you coming to either
You
of
put
those?
the all in
No,
Alta.
okay, sorry. Okay.
You said for food though, right?
I only wanted,
Confirming, I'm just confirming.
I only want to know about the dessert. So let's see. All right. So they're at Mountain View and the other two of us are at Los Altos. Okay, great. Is there any other calendar events to review? Not at this time. Okay, then let's move on to communications correspondence. Dr. Meyer, do we have any?
And then at this time.
Okay, we have none at this time. Board suggestions for future board meetings or reports? None at this time. Ava and Sadie, you need to think about this, and as time goes on, if there's some topics you think that we should be discussing, because you can bring up your topics too. Okay, all right, and so then the The date and time of the next meeting will be Monday, September 12th, here in the district boardroom. And the rest of the meetings are listed on the agenda for your information. Okay. So we will, we don't need another close session. So we weren't going to go back to closed session. So we will adjourn if I may have a motion to that effect. Okay, Debbie moves, Sanjay seconds, that we adjourn. Is there any comment? No, otherwise, Ava, what do you think?
I approve.
How about you,
I
Sadie?
approve.
Okay, all those in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? No, okay. All right, that is a meeting. We did it. First one. Thank you all for coming. The meeting's adjourned at 8:39.
I just gave field hockey practice, so I've been home since 8 a.m.